How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Prazi. I'm here with my good friend James.
Hey everyone.
We are here in Fukushima Prefecture, Japan, standing in front of this rather lovely temple that we found. And we figured it'd be a good opportunity to discuss, would we live in our countries forever? I live in Taiwan. I've been there 6 years. You live in Japan. You've been here
12 years, yeah.
12 years. So it might seem obvious that James has decided to live in Japan for the rest of his life because he's been here so long. You could probably make the same argument for me. However, your life has progressed to a new level. You've kind of, Let's get out of here. Oh my god, just look down and my legs are covered. Let's get out of here, dude.
I had like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, they're everywhere. We're getting destroyed by mosquitoes.
Damn.
Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna move away from this temple, but that's okay. You have a kid now.
Yes.
You got one on the way very quickly.
Yep.
Do you think you'd live here forever, for the rest of your life?
I've just recently gone back to the UK. I had a wonderful trip there. So it's made me think. It was the first time I'd ever gone back there with a child, and I saw how my family were reacting with my child, and it's definitely made me reevaluate things. Before, it would be no question. Yes, absolutely. I'm staying in Japan forever. But now it's not only me I have to think about, I have to think about my children and what kind of life they'll have. It would be very easy to live here forever, I will say that. So it wouldn't have been a tough question before, but now with kids, I've completely reevaluated the situation. Now I'm not sure.
What is it about having kids specifically that makes you kind of not be so keen on living in Japan?
Well, Japan is a homogenous society. Everybody, most people are, ethnically Japanese. I think it's only just 2% of the population of Japan are foreign born. There's a very, very clear, very defined version of a Japanese person. My children are, of course, half Japanese, and that's evident when you look at them. I don't want them to always be on the outside, and it might be done with the very best of intentions. People often say, oh, your kids are half, and they're really cute, and that's great, but that's also othering, and it's also just pointing out their differences constantly. I think growing up's hard enough without feeling completely different all the time.
I know a few people who are half Taiwanese, half Western, wherever they might be from.
Sure.
And they do go through that a lot, but I feel like a lot of them are actually, they turn out to be kind of okay in the end, but I do think a lot of people in Taiwan have that struggle, particularly when it comes to education. What's that like in Japan for you?
Early education in Japan, really, really good. But when it gets to sort of junior high, high school, it's more about rote memorization. Tests, memorize. Not a lot of applied knowledge. Just remember these things, regurgitate it in the test. And you kind of sort of see the personalities of them slowly drain away. Because all they do is just sit around memorizing stuff. Fortunately, I was in a job where I could see lots of different schools, and I didn't like what I saw, and I don't want that for my children.
Right, yeah, I think in Taiwan it's a very similar story. The education system for early childhood education is quite good, actually, probably even higher than in the West. They learn how to read and write and do all of these academic things significantly faster than Western kids do. However, once they enter elementary school, that's when the hammer drops. And it's a very difficult life for students in Taiwan, and I believe in Japan as well.
Yes.
And there are ways you can get around that. You can put your kids in international schools, which are run somewhat similarly to how I suppose an American school would be run. However, the problem with that is they are extortionately expensive, and not many people can afford them. And so a lot of people, when they live in Taiwan, once they have kids, they prefer to return to their own countries where education is a little bit more forgiving. Yeah. Okay, and how about some arguments for
staying here? So if I'm to compare it to the UK, which is really all I can compare it to, they're going to be a lot safer here, I guess.
Yeah.
Going to be a lot safer here. They're not going to be exposed to things like
teenage
drinking, drugs and alcohol, teenage pregnancy. It does happen here, but it's incredibly rare. So yeah, they'll be away from all of that as well. However, there'll be things that are normalised here that I wouldn't like them to be normalised. Crimes in the UK are really obvious, like theft and stabbings and things like that. Crimes in
Sounds like a lovely place.
Yeah, great. It's a little bit stabby. But crimes in Japan, they can be kind of like, darker crimes, kind of, like perverts, pedos, getting groped on the train, things like that. All crimes are cowardly, but these ones are sort of like more so. Japan's a great place if you're a man, not so hot if you're a woman or a child.
I also think you run into things like affordability. You live in Fukushima, where you can buy a house for some blueberries and a car for some pennies. And back in the UK, you know, that's a huge sticking point right now in the UK. Is the affordability is, you know, not great in the UK.
Yeah.
Exact same thing with my country. For Taiwan, some things that would make me not want to live in Taiwan for the rest of my life is if I had a kid, because I don't know how I would navigate the education system. Yeah, I have the added benefit of speaking English as my first language, and my, I suppose, future wife would be speaking Mandarin as her first language, and so I don't have to waste time and money on these bushibans or these cram schools where people send their kids after class to learn English. I don't have to do that, which is a pretty good advantage. Yep. However, the education system in Taiwan is very stressful and very difficult, and I don't know that I would want to put my kid through that. And also, you know, for me, I find that a lot of my hobbies are, you know, involve me, myself, and I, and I tend not to, I don't know, have that many Taiwanese friends. I have a few, but I don't know if I have as many as I should. Like, I think the older you get, the harder it is to know how many friends you should have or how big your social circle should be. Not that it's difficult to make Taiwanese friends. It's not difficult at all. If this is a me problem. And, you know, but back home, I have all these people that I grew up with that have been my friends since, like, childhood. And I miss them.
That's a really great point, and something that I felt when I went back. I've lived away for 12 years. You'd think during that time I've built friendships and things like that. Still, honestly, nothing compares to the people that you grew up with. Nothing compares. Nobody knows you better than the people that you grew up with. Everybody's known me since 2012 here. Right? They didn't know me as a child. They didn't know all my sort of like ins and outs. They didn't know my parents. I think people take that for granted when, you know, they look at people living abroad and think, oh, what a great life they must have. You don't realize how great you've got it at home as well.
That's also true for things like grandparents, other family members that are getting on in age, and you don't have the opportunity to spend nearly as much time as you otherwise would have if you stayed home. I think reasons for staying in Taiwan would be that, you know, Taiwanese people are actually a lot more international than I think people think. They don't care per se that you're a foreigner. They will welcome you into their social groups if you can, you know, get your Mandarin up to a workable level. They don't really make a big stink of you being a foreigner. A lot of them have traveled abroad. A lot of them are exposed to Western culture, Western movies, music, and that sort of thing. So they're just kind of used to it, and they're just a lot more open-minded. That makes it pretty great. To answer the question, now that we're at the end of the video, could I live in Taiwan for the rest of my life? Yeah, it's comfortable enough, it's affordable enough. I feel like I can fit in enough. Will I live in Taiwan for the rest of my life? I don't know, things change. No one knows what kind of path your life will go down, so you can't really make guarantees. How about you?
Yeah, could I? Definitely. Yeah, I definitely could. Absolutely. Would I want to all the time? Not sure. Not sure. I'm going to find out. Maybe spend a bit of time in the UK and then maybe miss Japan and come back and spend the rest of my days here. Who knows?
Right, that seems to be the dream, right? Spend 6 months home, 6 months abroad.
Yeah.
Seems to be everyone's dream, but that's really expensive. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, what you think of the situation. Feel free, there's probably all kinds of things that James and I didn't touch on, so let me know. Other than that, if you think I've earned it, I would love it. If you subscribe to my channel, it would mean a lot and really help me out. And you know, if you're subscribed, then that means you don't miss other videos about Taiwan, and I suppose for now, Japan. Stay positive, keep a stick on the ice. Catch you guys on next week for another video.